The McDonald's Snack Wrap is back. You brought it back. Ranch Snack Wrap. Spicy Snack Wrap. You broke the internet for a snack. Snack Wrap is back. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Clorox Toilet Wand, it's all in one. Clorox Toilet Wand, it's all in one.
Hey, what does all in one mean?
The caddy, the wand, the preloaded pad. There's a cleaner in there, inside the pad.
So Clorox Toilet Wand is all I need to clean a toilet?
You don't need a bottle of solution to get into this toilet revolution. Clorox, clean feels good.
Use as directed.
Always follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Yes, follow the money. Here we are. The Moose is on the loose. Pauly Howard, Marc Malusis. Mitch is off. Back Friday. Big show coming up live from Circa Downtown, where it all goes down. Sirius XM Channel 158. We'll talk to Charch coming up in half an hour. He gets to Peacock after calling Olave most receiving 25-1. Best fantasy football punishments. He's got an incredible list. He's a Hall of Famer. He'll have a great rundown. We'll share some as well. Send him in, ftm@vsin.com. Sal Pal, live. He'll be on the Buffalo-Philadelphia game. His thoughts on that matchup and the Christmas Day slate. Tony Farmer, Last Man Standing pod. 10 left. Circa Survivor, 18.7 million up top. 5 people have to use an underdog tomorrow. We'll get his thoughts on hedging and what these guys are going to do. And Humans live from the Hawaii Bowl. We'll get an update on Hawaii and Cal, the only game in action. Mark, how you doing? Happy holidays, friend.
Yeah, happy holidays, Paul. I mean, this is an honor. Be on with you, filling in for Mitch, doing the show with you guys, doing an amazing job. Loved you in the mornings, loved you in the afternoons, and it's great to hop on with aboard on a Christmas Eve. It's going to be a fun next 3 hours.
You got it. Looking forward to it, real and Fugazi as well. It's now official. Johnson is in. Mariota's out. All 3 home teams are going with a third-string quarterback. The Vikings also have a plethora of injuries as well. Dallas up to 8.5. Total of 50.5. They are 14-1 to the over first half this season. Incredible. They have had their issues in the first quarter. But what do you think about laying 8.5 now against the journeyman vagabond no man Johnson? Dallas allowing 30 a game defensively, second most, and the worst pass defense in the league. Can the old man Johnson keep it close?
Well, the concern you'd have, Washington's defense not particularly good either, right? Yep. And when you look at Dallas's defense, yes, they've struggled. They had a little bit of a run where they improved a little bit until that Detroit game on that Thursday night, Paulie. But, now it comes down to motivation when you have 2 teams that are playing for absolutely nothing. Johnson, at least, is a journeyman third-string quarterback, right? He started a lot of games in the National Football League, right? So, he's been around for quite some time, and that should be an defense he should be able to move the football on. The concern you have when you look at Washington's defense, they've been bad all season long. So if you're looking at, Dak and company, if they want to finish off this regular season with a little bit of authority, they should be able to move it. I mean, that's where the lean might be to the over in the game where you're going to get a ton of points. I don't think defenses are really going to stop either team, but I do think Dallas's offense is going to be more effective against Washington than vice versa. Now the question is, are you willing to lay the 8.5 and have that kind of trust in the Cowboys? Because, you could get killed by a little bit of a backdoor cover.
Yep. Quinn on short rest, 2-8 straight up, and this year 0-4 ATS on short rest. The other thing is this could be a potential nightmare for props because you have bad quarterbacks going, bad teams, and then you have the blowout factor as well, which, do you sit Dak late in the game? How long does Bo Nix play? I mean, this is really tough for props because you could be looking at, Minnesota's got a ton of guys out too. You could be looking at several blowouts here.
Yeah, and this is not the way that Goodell drew it up on Christmas Day with these matchups when they originally envisioned it, right? I mean, you get to the night game in Kansas City. I mean, They announced that they're moving. They're building a $3 billion stadium. There's no Mahomes. They're on their third-string quarterback. They just lost to the Tennessee Titans. It's Christmas night, and there's not going to be a lot of people there, right? And then you have the Broncos who are laying 13.5 in that game. But fair point, Paulie, man. You mentioned about the props, especially when you get – and you're talking about third-string quarterbacks in terms of where do they have a rhythm, where do they have trust, where are they going with the football, and that's where it might be a little bit of a minefield if you get into the prop market when you look at any of these 3 games.
Yes, Dak has owned Washington as well, 11-3 ATS run Lamb is sitting there at 80 yards at DraftKings. Pickens as well. There's some fun stuff on Caesars where you can do 10, 20 yards each quarter, 200 different ways to bet the games. You can get involved with McLaurin as well with some of that stuff, and we'll run it down later in the show with all these creative props, as the books are doing a good job, as you have to be with some of these tough matchups. Detroit 7.5 and 43.5 against the Vikings and Brosmer. Hawkinson out, Mason out. Detroit still alive, but they have to win out, and Green Bay has to lose out. He was pathetic against Seattle. He was, they slowed the game down and milk clock in relief of McCarthy in the win against the god-awful Giants. Can you get the rushing attack going? That concerns me with all these injuries on the offensive line. Detroit up to 7.5. Do you think they show up and fight for Campbell?
Yeah, I think they do. I mean, honestly, and I think you saw that a little bit last week in what was a tough loss late against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers were by far the better team. The stunning nature of that game was the fact that the Steelers were able to slow down the Lions' ground attack, Pauly. But the interior of that offensive line for Detroit has been an issue all season long, right? That's why Frank Ragnow tried to make a comeback, obviously failed the physical after retiring during the course of the offseason. So the center and two guards and that Detroit's offensive line. Now, Gibbs is a guy that doesn't need all that much, but he was held to 2 yards rushing, I believe, against the Pittsburgh Steelers on 7 rush attempts. I mean, it was unbelievable what Pittsburgh was able to do. Listen, I love Brian Flores as a defensive coordinator, and he has worked wonders this year with that Vikings defense. He really has. And they're missing guys like Grenard that they did last week, the starting safety against one of their starting safeties as well against the New York Giants. The concern, though, you have for Minnesota is when you look at quarterback play, Brosmer, what exactly are you going to get? Mm-hmm. I think Detroit – I think timing is important when you look at this matchup. Detroit goes into that game knowing that they're still alive, right? Knowing that, that they've got something to play for. So therefore, you got the third string quarterback in Brosmer in there. I don't have a completely utter trust with him. I respect the Vikings defense. I just don't think they're going to be a hold up enough. I'd be more comfortable laying it than taking it.
So if we have blowouts and these dogs are forced to play catch up for much of the game, what do you think of Johnson at 18-1 and Oladokin at like 22-1 for most passing yards on the day? Would you take a nibble?
I trust Johnson more than I trust Oladokin.
Yes.
I mean, because the weapons are there down in Washington, and he's still got Kingsbury. I mean, we've talked about Kansas City's offense being stagnant when they had Patrick Mahomes, that they were lacking explosiveness, right? Kelsey's thinking about getting married and during the course of the offseason, and, he doesn't look like the same tight end that he did 3-4 years ago. It's like Father Time catches up with everybody, Paulie, but when you look at Oladokin, it's hard to imagine, and they're going to be playing catch-up. The problem he's going to have is he's going up against arguably the second-best defense behind the Houston Texans in the National Football League. And I think Denver, coming off the home loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars, wants to try and make a statement against Kansas City, and they should be able to, given the lack of pushback that you saw from Kansas City a week ago down in Tennessee.
So you potentially have the big matchup on deck against the Chargers, which could decide the division if the Chargers beat Houston on Saturday. Is Peyton likely to run the score up, though, and take out all these years of frustration on Kansas? They're the biggest home dog ever. They were 13-point dogs against Kenny Stabler in 77. Tip of the cap to Evan Abrams. Does he run it up, or does he pull guys and just say, I'm getting ready for the next game, I don't want to get anyone hurt?
All right, Paulie, but let me ask you this. If you go into that game tomorrow night, how many points do you think Kansas City realistically scores?
10?
10, right?
Yeah.
So could you envision Denver going out there putting up, 27, 30 points? I mean, even if they call off the dogs in the fourth quarter, like that's the other aspect. I'm not saying that he's going to run it up and score 40 points, but they could win this game and easily cover the 13.5 and still, score 28, 31 points, 34 points, whatever it might be. They might get 2 defensive touchdowns tomorrow night out at Arrowhead. I mean, anything is on the table when you look at this game because there's a lack of motivation when you look at Kansas City. They're on a third-string quarterback. You look at this team, and I was really they said all the right things going into the Tennessee game, but actions speak louder than words. And then you saw their performance against the Tennessee Titans, and they didn't really have much pushback. Now, they got embarrassed by Tennessee. Do they have more pushback, national TV audience, Christmas night at Arrowhead? Potentially, but still, then you talk about the lack of ability, especially at the most important position. I don't really think Oladokin's all that good.
He ran the ball a lot at South Dakota State. He's being priced in Phillip Rivers territory, his first game, where he's only 150 yards passing. which you could get that on accident, but also the Chiefs have a ton of guys out as well. But that, I think the only way maybe you could get over that and would be if you're down 21-0 and you're throwing the whole second half. That's the case there. But 150 yards, that is low, and I don't know what to expect out of the kid either. And Reed's put him in a tough spot here, which he talked about Sunday, where he's not getting any reps.
Yeah, or maybe you have like a Mike Kafka kind of game where they allow him to throw the ball 13 times for 35 yards. I mean, ridiculous. That's it. And right, absolutely ridiculous. And then he's defending it after the game for the New York Giants, which makes little to no sense.
Dallas up to 485 on the money line at DraftKings. Lions 355. Broncos are 1,100. So that'll be important when we talk to Tony coming up about these people who have to hedge because they have to use 5 underdogs in Circa Survivor. Some of the props that are up. Will there be a point in every quarter of the games is plus $1.10? A field goal in every game is plus 160. Johnson most passing yards anywhere from 15 to 18 to 1. Number one, if they're playing catch up, or he can eat against a bad Dallas defense. Kansas City, they have high-low team. Kansas City minus $2 to score the fewest points tomorrow. Minnesota's 4 to 1. And a 2-point conversion, minus 130. All teams to score a touchdown, minus 175. Overtime, 4 to 1. Safety is 6 to 1 with some of these matchups tomorrow. It's going to be bizarre with all these backup quarterbacks, Mark.
I would actually lean toward Minnesota scoring the least amount of points.
Would you? Okay.
Even with Kansas City going up against Denver at 4 to 1, I wouldn't let I don't love the odds when you look at Denver. Obviously, they're the most obvious, but I would lean Minnesota. I think Detroit tomorrow afternoon, mid-game, middle part of the day, is going to want to send a statement, and I don't think Brosmer is going to move all the football from what we saw Seattle and what we saw second half against the New York Giants.
And down 2 key players as well. That's not bad. Well, looking for the perfect holiday gift or a smarter way to bet the biggest games of the season? VSiN's holiday special gives you VSiN Pro access through May 1st, just $79. Every best bet, every host, every guest, the betting splits, the AI-powered props, and the college football betting guide. Give yourself the gift of smarter betting. VSiN.com/subscribe. Get it now. A $50,000 hit. And Video Poker will share up next at the Bellagio. Win, lose, and also a good NBA card tomorrow. Straight ahead, follow the money. So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools, but what they don't want you to know is you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. With VSiN Pro, you get access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
Win Some, Lose Some is sponsored by the Sharp Plays.
Were you a winner last night? Wow, winning. Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser! Pauly Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
Mavs money line 2 to 1. Flag's been a beast. Awesome in the win. High-scoring game. Dallas playing well. I'll tell you about a prop with Flag coming up. Spurs plus 220, Mark. The Thunder have 4 losses. 2 of them are against the Spurs, and the Spurs kicked their ass.
Yeah, how about Wemby, basically saying after they knocked off OKC in the NBA Cup, basically saying it's just the beginning. Now, they eventually lost to the Knicks in the championship game for whatever that's worth, but that San Antonio team, once again, back on the rise, and they are going to be dangerous, and they are fun. Good guards and a great big man. Nets money line plus 330. That comes in. Bucks Pacers under 222 down to 216.5. Cavs Pelicans over 237.5 up to 250. 141 to 118. Cavs finally covered. Suns Lakers over 223 up to 227. Redick not happy after the game. We'll get to that in a second. Magic Blazers under 235 down to 231. And the streak is over. They had lost 17 in a row on back-to-backs, and 16 of them they scored 2 goals or fewer. The Kraken beat the Kings 3-2. Subscribe, be part of the team, vsin.com. Our radio and podcast friends, you always want to see these tweets and videos. At Pauly Does Vegas on Instagram. Send them in, we'll put you on. How about our guy Norman here? I mean, you got the doggy daycare.
Here he comes, gets a big fella, get the running start. Looks like Hector Salamanca with the overbite as well. Here he comes, jumping in, right? Gets a pup cup, and then everyone says hello. Give him the pup cup, will you, Luke? Feed him. I mean, this is great. Everyone they go to doggy daycare. Everyone gets on the bus. Everyone knows their routine. Pup cup. Everyone's dressed up. Holiday season. You got your friends and your buddies here. Incredible. Thanks to everyone who sends this in on a regular basis. That is strong, and that's our guy, Norman.
I love dogs. That's amazing. I'm amazed. Congratulations, Norman, that the dog keeps the outfit on. I mean, that is crazy. It's beautiful. I mean, because I try and we have like a 2-year-old mini golden doodle, Chip, right? And he couldn't be kinder, right? Anytime we try and put anything on him, like a hat or anything like that, he keeps it on for like 10 seconds. Like, I can't get him scooting through that and do all that. No, it wouldn't work.
We had a beagle named Bailey, and if you dressed her, she would like go hide in the corner in shame if you put an outfit on her. It was bizarre. Finally, I'm like, tell the stop it. Don't do that anymore. The dog doesn't like it, but that's you never know how that's going to go. Randy McKay, go to Antarctica, live with the penguins. This was today at the Bellagio. He was stuck a couple grand. He's playing $30 a spin in that Buffalo game. He won over $50,000. This just happened.
Go, Randy.
Nice job, McKay. Good job.
That is amazing. Great job. Yeah,
Hopefully,
golf clap.
yeah.
There's more than just a golf clap.
That is strong.
I mean, $50K, that's amazing. That is strong.
Merry Christmas, too. Hopefully he puts that on X. All the moves were wrong in the bowl games. UNLV, 3.5 up to 6.5. They lost outright. Louisville, 8.5 up to 13.5. Won by 5. We're up 18 in the fourth quarter. Southern Miss +3. Went off a 3-point favorite. They lost. Pistons, Kings under. 231.5 down to 225. No good. Bulls, Hawks over. They played Sunday during the NFL games. It was 152 to 150 or something like that. But 251 up to 255 last night stayed under. Hornets, Wizards, 233 up to 240. That fell 235. Before the line moves, sharp plays is already there. They don't just follow the market, they help shape it. Jeff and the crew been at it since 2011 with Follow the Money since day one. You all remember the Mr. Poison shirts and look for the Mr. Poison tweets. Advanced AI plays, up 50 units. Great sources across all the sports. Free reports, real-time alerts, market moving insight straight to your inbox or X feed since 2011. Sharpplays.com. Monitored by the books. Stay ahead of the line. Sharpplays.com. Okay, 5 games tomorrow in the association. Knicks, 6.5 at home against the Cavs. 239.5 the total. We go at 9 a.m. Pacific. The Knicks are 14-2 at home. I throw out the last loss. It was a horrible spot after they won the cup out here on a Tuesday, and then to play at Indiana Thursday, and then to come back home on a Friday. They're awesome at home. They are now number 2 in offensive efficiency. The Cavs are a mess. They're only a couple games over 500, and they're the worst team ATS. I think the Knicks come out with a statement tomorrow. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, Paulie, I don't disagree with you. And if you go back to that game that the last time they were home and lost, after the NBA Cup title, where they went into Indiana, won a game miraculously, and then came back home. They had no legs. I think they shot 25% from behind the arc and got outscored by 27 from 3 in the game. So, and that's why they lost. They've been ridiculously offensively efficient. They're coming off a loss against the Minnesota Timberwolves where Julius Randle had himself a day. I think he scored 17 points in the fourth quarter, had himself a night. There was no Jalen Brunson. Kolek made his first start in that game.
He was great. Yeah.
And no OG Anunoby. So the Knicks have been Mike Brown was brought in and replacing Tom Thibodeau to increase the bench, increase the roles, obviously limit the amount of minutes that the starters were playing, but obviously get back to being offensively efficient. And that's exactly what this Knicks team is. Now, are they as good defensively? No, but Mitchell Robinson, we were talking about during the break, Paulie, is a big-time difference maker. I agree with you. I think the only side is the Knicks laying the points early tomorrow afternoon in Madison Square Garden against the Cavs.
And I mentioned yesterday, talking to our guy Tony Rizzo, ESPN in Cleveland, there's a disconnect right now with Atkinson and the players, which they were so good last year. Why does that happen? But it's just there's something wrong in Cleveland. Now what do you do? Thunder 9.5 at home to the Spurs. 234.5 the total. Again, 4 losses, 2 of them to the Spurs. They were down 20 in that game. And don't look now, San Antonio, 5th in offensive efficiency. So maybe look at some futures on the Spurs, and hopefully this is the Western Conference Finals matchup. Do you come back with the Thunder with revenge, or do you say the Spurs have their number?
I'd come back with the Thunder home for a little bit of revenge, laying the 9.5, more than San Antonio having their number. If I had to play the game, I'm more confident on the Knicks laying the points against Cleveland than I would say Oklahoma City laying 9.5 against San Antonio, based on the way that San Antonio has played them up until this point in time. But Oak City home, second game of the NBA slate on Christmas Day, I would probably feel a little more comfortable probably laying it with Oklahoma City at the 9.5.
Okay. Spurs also 6th in defensive efficiency as well. Here's what I mentioned earlier. Golden State's 8.5 against Dallas. That's a big number to be laying. There's a lot of drama with Golden State. Number one, they're not playing well. Jimmy Butler called them out, and then Green got into it with Kerr. And then you had the Lake-up email with the fan that went viral. He put it on Reddit. So they had to deal with that as well, where the owner seemingly criticized Kerr. 228.5 the total, but I think you have to look at Cooper Flag assists over, as he's been on fire, what he's done offensively, points, but also what he's doing with the assist prop. And you think you get a good price over 3.5. You can ladder it as well. I think he went over in the first half in the last two. So Dallas playing much better ball, and I would look at Flag assists over here as he's getting it done. But that's a lot of points to be laying with a Golden State team with a ton of issues and drama right now.
Yeah, I can't lay with Golden State laying the 8. You just ran through it. I mean, the Draymond Green stuff, Lake-up, everything that goes along with it. A lot of frustration in Golden State. And listen, they had an unbelievable run. A lot of the names have obviously changed over the last 3 or 4 years out there in Golden State. But with all of that drama, I can't lay the 8, even with Dallas. And I love Flag. Flag's amazing, and he's gonna continue to get better and better as we move forward here. And he continues to adjust to the NBA game. And he was ridiculous last year for Duke, and we all watched him, and heard about him since he was basically 14, 15 years old, Pauly. So I root for him. I'm happy for the Maverick fan that he's starting to kind of show what caliber of player he's going to be in the NBA, because he's going to be ridiculously special.
And then the night game, 5 o'clock Pacific. I wanted to play against the Lakers, but the comments from Redick after the game, Lakers getting 2.5 at home to Houston. Houston goes out and gets blasted by the Clippers. So Houston should not have this record. I thought they'd be a better team. They are 17-10 on the season. But after the game where the Lakers got obliterated by Phoenix, Redick, defense and effort is a choice. 132-108 Phoenix, and it wasn't that close. We'll see if the Lakers can respond. I hope Redick calling them out works. Lakers now 24th in defense.
I think, Paulie, here's where I love when coaches use the media. Pat Riley used to do this time and time again, use the media to get a point across, right? And I think when you listen to Redick, I would lean the Lakers having a bounce back performance, getting the 2.5 after everything that you ran through, what JJ Redick had to say, about the defense, the effort, the commitment, everything that you've heard, and the frustration you've heard. So that's kind of an old school kind of coaches thing where you go out there and you lambaste your team. It's kind of, and I respect it. And I think he's going to get a bounce back performance from the Lakers at home against the Rockets late game Christmas night.
Okay. And then Minnesota's catching 2.5 at Denver. Denver number 1 in offense, but dealing with a ton of injuries defensively, lost against Dallas, can't get many stops. I think Minnesota's played them well. And Minnesota, they have matchup nightmares for them, too. Look at the total in this one. 239.5 in this game as Denver's number 1 in offense, but can't guard you.
And Randall's had a good And Randall's had a good year this year for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he's starting to get and he's played really, really well for the Timberwolves. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I would lean more the over in this game as compared to a side. But if you had to force me to take one side, Minnesota or Denver, based on the way they're playing right now, I'd take the T-Wolves.
All right, ftm@vsin.com is the email. You can also tweet at us as well. Best fantasy football punishments coming up in 20 minutes. He gets to brag and show off. Up next, Paul Charchian, Olave most receiving 25-1. He cashed that. What is he like this week? He's on an anytime touchdown in the first game. He'll run it down coming up next on Follow the Money. VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Pauly Howard, Marc Malusis.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We'll talk to Sal Pal coming up in 20 minutes, half an hour rather. He's with the Bills and the Eagles game coming up. His thoughts on the Christmas Day tripleheader. It's our weekly visit with Hall of Famer Paul Charchian. Incredible job last week. Follow him on X. Olave most receiving yards, and ladder Olave as well, as he had a huge game in the win, and also recommended Chuck Offensive Rookie of the Year. Great job, my friend. That was an unbelievable call.
Thank
which
you.
was 25
Appreciate
to 1.
that.
Good job.
25-1. Yeah, that was even better than really hoped. And the Shuck thing is fascinating now because at this time last week, we were talking about Shuck to win Rookie of the Year. Depending on where you're looking, he was coming in at 14-1 or all the way up to 25-1 at this time last week. Now, Tyler Shuck, a week later, we're looking at 3-1, 4-1, 5-1 on Tyler Shuck. There's, we talked last week and we won't repeat it all today, but there's a real avenue for him to win Rookie of the Year here. And it's not too late. And the Travion Henderson concussion really opens up a pathway for him. And that was, we don't want injury on anybody. We never happy for injury, but boy, does that open up an avenue for Tyler Shuck to go win Rookie of the Year.
Absolutely. Before we get to the props in the Vikings game, what does this mean next year with the timing of the McCarthy injury?
So, all right. I mean, McCarthy is really putting the Vikings in a bind here. So, obviously got hurt for 2 different stints during the season, played very poorly early on. Last few games better to the point where there's hope for McCarthy, and then gets the hairline fracture in his hand, and he's gone again. I mean, for the Vikings going into this season, many people accepted the fact that this was not going to be another 14-win season because you had to onboard J.J. McCarthy. But you really wanted to get to the end of the year and know what you had in J.J. McCarthy. Was he your quarterback going forward or not? I don't think anybody's going to have the answer to this. He's not playing tomorrow. Very good chance he does not play in the final game either. And if that happens with McCarthy, and even if he does play on the broken hand, you've got a built-in question about, if he doesn't look good, it was the hand. So the Vikings are going to enter this offseason really unsure with what they have with J.J. McCarthy, in my opinion. About 8 times out of 10. If you don't know you have the guy, you don't have the guy. But the most teams tend to give it another year and see what they got through one more year. And I think the Vikings are headed into offseason where they are really in a no man's land at the quarterback position, unless something changes here and we get a lot more firm data points on J.J. McCarthy.
Okay.
Yeah, and Paul, kind of a no man's land when you look at that NFC North as well. I mean, because Bears are on the uptick. You got the Lions, who obviously are looking to bounce back should they miss the playoffs this year. And you've got the Green Bay Packers as well, who are not going anywhere either. So Minnesota spent a lot of money on that roster this year. And now you've got big-time questions on the quarterback and going into a fascinating offseason for O'Connell Company.
Yeah, and Mark, you mentioned all the money they spent. This team's $35 million over the cap next year. You can do some things around that, but this is not going to be an offseason where the Vikings can have an opportunity to invest a lot of money in free agency. And yeah, the NFC North, it's brutal. Vikings defense, absolutely playoff caliber. This is the first team since 1988 to not allow a passing touchdown in 6 straight games. Brian Flores has been fantastic. It is a loss. It's really unfortunate that the Vikings can't roll into the playoffs with the defense they've got this year, the way that they've played. You've got, it's a playoff and maybe even a Super Bowl caliber defense, but obviously the offense and the quarterback position held back this season, and it's going to be all for naught this year in Minnesota.
Great stat. So you saw Detroit couldn't get anything going on the ground against Pittsburgh. What do you want to do with Gibbs props?
All right, well, we've got a remarkable angle with Jahmyr Gibbs, but it's going to take some nads of steel. We're going to look at the under 4.5 receptions, the under 35.5 receiving yards. And, betting unders with Jahmyr Gibbs, it's like the ultimate wet blanket move. I don't want to be the wet blanket because he's amazing. And who doesn't want to cheer for Jahmyr Gibbs? But wait till you hear these stats for Jahmyr Gibbs and the under on receptions, the under on receiving yards. The Vikings are the best defense against pass catching runners. Minnesota is the only defense that has not allowed a running back score through the air all year. Minnesota ranks number 1 in yards allowed to runners through the air. They rank number 2 in receptions allowed to runners. Let's talk specifically about the 2 Gibbs lines, under 4.5 receptions. Novak has had 5 receptions against Minnesota in 11 straight games. And that includes Gibbs himself in the earlier matchup, who caught 3 passes in the earlier matchup. For the season, Gibbs has gone under 4.5 receptions 9 different times. 9 times. And his receiving usage has been on an uptick a little bit lately since Sam Laporta's injury. Nevertheless, I like the under on receptions. Let's talk about the 35.5 receiving yards. No back has hit 36 receiving yards against Minnesota all year. He would have to become the first to do that. And what's more, going back to last year, no back has topped 36 receiving yards against Minnesota in 26 straight games.
Come on.
That's an amazing
That's
stat.
insane.
Why is this line so high? Now, I'll grant you this. The last player to go to 36 yards against Minnesota was Jahmyr Gibbs, week 7 of last year. Nevertheless, 26 straight games. I mean, all the trends here say Jahmyr Gibbs, under 4.5 receptions, under 35.5 receiving yards.
You always come heavy. That's awesome. That's fantastic.
Paul,
Who's
the
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Paulie. I want to ask you, stay in that game from a Minnesota perspective with Brosmer at quarterback. Who's the beneficiary of that in the receiving game?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Mark. The guy that we're going to look at is Jordan Addison. Now, for some of your listeners, you can just say, all right, it's a Max Brosmer start. I'm out. And I totally get that. We'll talk about that more in a minute. Now, Paulie, I want to talk about our old friend, Amik Robertson.
Yes.
Those new to follow the money. Amik Robertson is the replacement cornerback for the Lions, who they've been forced to start. We've been picking on Amik Robertson this year frequently. We're going to do it again here. Since week 12, Amik Robertson has been objectively the worst cornerback in the NFL. He is the most targeted player in the NFL since week 12 at any position, Amik Robertson. He has allowed the most receptions of any player at any position since week 12. He has allowed the most receiving yards. He's allowed the 6th most yards after the catch. Last week, the Lions moved Robertson into the slot just to try to shake things up and hide him a little bit. They still targeted him 7 times, and he allowed 7 receptions last week. Now, unclear if Amik Robertson's going to be outside or if he's going to be on the slot this game, but I don't think it matters because the Vikings receivers run from all over the field, including Jordan Addison. His over-under on receptions is 3.5, and that's what we're looking at here. It's 3.5 receptions for Jordan Addison. A little more detail on Robertson. Because the Lions are missing both of their starting safeties, Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, they're lining up Robertson way, way off the line of scrimmage and putting all of this buffer in. So it's a lot of short, easy catches on Amik Robertson. And that's something Max Brosmer can actually do. He can throw short, easy, fast balls. And I think we can ask him to do that here. Over the last 5 weeks, the Lions have allowed the most passing yards to wide receivers, the second most receptions to wideouts, 15 receptions per game over the last 5 weeks, just to the wideout position. 15. I need to get to 4 on Jordan Addison to pay this ticket. All right, last thing. And I'm sorry this is such a long discussion.
That's great.
Max Brosmer. And a lot of people are just going to throw this whole Jordan Addison thing out because it's Brosmer, and he got absolutely destroyed by Seattle in week 13, his first NFL start. He's probably going to be better in his second NFL start, but Seattle's also a great defense. Last week, after J.J. McCarthy went out, Max Brosmer came in, went 7 of 9, and looked capable doing it. Detroit, the secondary is so bad for all the reasons I already told you. This is the easiest secondary Max Brosmer is going to face. A lot easier in Seattle, easier than the Giants last week. Over the last 5 games, Detroit allowing the most passing yards, second most passing touchdowns. So, last thing I'll mention, Max Brosmer, when he had that start against Seattle, he threw to Jordan Addison 10 times in the game. All we got to do is get to 4 receptions for Jordan Addison.
A+ breakdown. 30 seconds. Why Rodriguez anytime touchdown?
Rodriguez anytime touchdown because there's a good chance Cowboys are going to be without Quinnen Williams. He's trying to clear the concussion protocol. Did not clear it today. We'll obviously have to watch through tomorrow. Rodriguez, a 60% carry share in his last 2 full games. And Rodriguez has got at least 1 carry from inside the 5 in 6 consecutive games. He's the undisputed goal line back for Washington. Meanwhile, last 3 games for Dallas, they've given up 6 rushing touchdowns. No Marcus Mariota could possibly steal some of the close goal line work. I like Chris Rodriguez, anytime touchdown, plus 145.
2 is 11-1. That's not bad either.
That is in play here.
Not bad.
That is absolutely in play.
All right, excellent. Yeah. All right, send them in, ftm@vsin.com. Tweet at us as well, Pauly Howard, Marc Malusis. I can't wait for this up next. He's a Hall of Famer. He's been doing this a long, long time. I'll do a couple, but he's going to have a top 3, top 5 list best or worst, however you want to look at it, fantasy football punishments. These are incredible what people have come up with. That's next on Follow the Money. VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM Channel 158, live from Circa Downtown.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Double shot with Paul Charchian, the Fantasy Football Hall of Famer. Sal Pal, another Hall of Famer coming up. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Gibbs, props under. Addison over receptions. He had an incredible breakdown 5 minutes ago. Okay, so you've been doing this over 30 years. You started fantasy football pretty much. You've been incredible with your resume. You've seen everything, heard everything. Best fantasy football punishments. Quickly, this one was on Instagram. You have to show up at a bar when it opens at 10 a.m. until it closes at 1 a.m. You can take an hour off for every shot. You can take off a half hour for every beer. Phil sent in Waffle House 24 hours. You take an hour off for every waffle you eat. Also,
better.
You have to go to open mic night and prepare 10 minutes of stand-up. And your buddies are in the audience as well. And this came in from our buddy Nish. You have to take the ACT or the SAT and sit with the high schoolers and then share and go over the score after it's done. That's what I have.
Those are all good. The one that the open mic night, I want to drill down on that because they're doing it wrong.
Okay.
They're doing it wrong.
Okay.
Here's how the open night mic punishment works. And this is, again, for people that don't know, this is whoever finishes last in your fantasy league. And this also prevents tanking. If there's a real penalty involved, nobody tanks, which is great.
Yep.
The loser does need to perform an open mic night with the rest of the league in attendance. Here's where it's different. The jokes are written by the league on index cards, and the loser has to cold read the jokes for the first time on stage. You take the jokes out of an envelope one at a time, and you got to read them on stage, whatever's been written by the league to put in your mouth. That is how you do the loser punishment on open mic night.
Wow.
Let me tell you about another league. This one's in Washington, D.C. I love this one. The winner gets to choose the geographic destination for the loser to spend the entire Super Bowl day. They have to go at their own expense wherever the league winner sends the loser. Must be in the continental U.S., places they've chosen so far. International Falls, Minnesota, the northernmost point in the country.
Yes.
It was negative 17 degrees on Super Bowl Sunday. Somebody had to fly into Minneapolis, trek their way 4 hours north to International Falls, Minnesota. The next one, Devil's Tower, Wyoming. You remember this from Close Encounters from the Third Kind?
God.
That thing that gets out of it's in the middle of nowhere, in a state that's in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
You got to make your way to Devil's Tower and watch the Super Bowl from Devil's Tower. I love that one as well. Let me give you a couple others. A lot of people like to do something that I guess makes you feel a little bit awkward, and you have to admit it.
Yeah.
Pink license plate holder, Luke, that says, I suck at fantasy football, and you got to have this on your car all year. For the entire year, you have to have that on your car.
Wow.
I finished last in my fantasy football league, or I suck at fantasy football. Last place, fantasy football league. That has to be on your car for 1 year. That's awesome. I'll give you another one.
Please do.
Sandwich board downtown, or you have to wave a flag downtown in rush hour traffic that says,
wow,
I suck at fantasy football.
There's the picture of
Some public humiliation.
Oh, wow.
Right here for fantasy football losers.
That is excellent. That is
but there's got to
phenomenal.
be something. But I love the idea that, and it's very creative because I get frustrated because I'm in fantasy leagues where there are guys that are out of it and they don't hit the waiver wire. They keep guys that are on IR in the lineup, and you need them to win in a week to get into the postseason, and you've got no chance, and they don't pay attention because their season's over weeks ago. So there needs to be a little bit of pushback on that, Paul.
Yeah, exactly. International Falls, Minnesota level pushback certainly works. That'll keep you laser focused. on your fantasy team, no matter how bad it is.
That open mic night's strong, man. I was just, man,
that's good stuff
incredible.
right there.
Yeah, that is strong.
Yep.
FTM@vsin.com. Tweet at us as well for best fantasy football punishments. Great job as always with that. Charch, the late game, it turned into a nothing burger because of what's going on with the Chiefs and Mahomes out. Who can you make a case for with the Broncos?
I got two guys. I want to start with Jaleel McLaughlin, the backup running back for the Broncos, over 23.5 rushing yards. It's a 13.5 point spread. So there's a real chance that Kansas City quarterback Chris Oladokun, it simply can't function against a really good Denver defense trying to battle for the 1 seed in the AFC. So there's a chance here that Kansas City is a total non-factor for much of this game. If the blowout is coming, it's going to be Jaleel McLaughlin time in the second half. Remember, Broncos are already down J.K. Dobbins. So putting R.J. Harvey at unnecessary risk in a blowout is a bad idea. McLaughlin coming off a solid showing last week. He's the clear number 2 rushing option. And while the Chiefs' run defense was good most of this year, last week when they had been eliminated, they just sort of exhaled and got run over by the Titans runners, Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears, with big numbers. So if you see the blowout coming, one way that we can cash on that is Jaleel McLaughlin getting a bunch of mop-up work over 23.5 rushing yards.
Anybody else in that game?
Why, yes. Thank you for asking, Mark. How about Troy Franklin? So we can't pick anybody that's got a big number because I just said they're going to run, that Denver's going to run the ball a lot. How about some Troy Franklin over just 35.5 yards? He can, if they're battling through the air for 3/4 or even a half, Franklin can get to 35.5 yards. Big injury narrative in play here. First, rookie wide receiver Pat Bryant is not very unlikely to clear the concussion protocol after getting hospitalized on that 1970s era hit that he took last week. That was brutal. I don't think he's going to play here. Bryant was surging in usage over the last month, and without Bryant, that puts Troy Franklin on the field basically every play. And it looks like, speaking of injuries, the Chiefs' top 2 cornerbacks are not going to play. Trent McDuffie, the team's best cornerback, he remains in the concussion protocol to this point. And last week, without him, Parker Washington roasted the Chiefs from the slot. Franklin is the team's leading slot receiver and was until Pat Bryant started to mow his lawn. He's going to run from the slot a lot, take advantage of Trent McDuffie not being there, but also the Chiefs' other starting cornerback, Jalen Watson's got a groin injury. He may not be able to go either. And that puts, these injuries are going to put undrafted rookie cornerback Kevin Knowles on the field for the Chiefs, especially in the slot. He is so green. He has seen 9 NFL targets in his life. That's it. So he could be targeted a ton. And again, I think Troy Franklin would be the obvious guy running a lot from the slot. He would be the beneficiary here. We just need him to go over 35.5 receiving yards. So that is our 2 angles in the late game. Troy Franklin over 35.5 receiving yards. Jaleel McLaughlin over 23.5 rushing yards.
Another great appearance as always. Thanks for doing this on Christmas Eve. Happy holidays. We'll talk to you next week, I hope. And great call on Olave, and let's get there with Rodriguez. Take care, my friend.
Thank you, God. This has been a ton of fun. Merry Christmas to you, Mark, and all of our listeners and viewers as well. We'll talk to you in a week. Bye-bye.
All right. You're phenomenal.
Thanks,
Paul Charchian. Oh, that was great. What a breakdown. Bauer's out for the year. Fields out for the year. Glenn said the Jets have a plan to the fan base. Trust us. I mean, there's 2 incredible stats. Number 1, they don't have an interception. That's an NFL record. They're not going to get one because they play the May and then Josh Allen. The other one is Garrett Wilson still leads them in yards. How many games has he played? I mean, this is impossible.
Well, no, he's been out forever. And they announced about 2 weeks ago that they shut him down for the rest of the season, rightfully so. And they're continue to roll out Brady Cook, even though Tyrod Taylor's healthy. Yeah. And Aaron Glenn's basically telling you that they're trying to win football games. They're not trying to win football games, Pauly. They don't care. And Glenn's got his own issues. I mean, and there are a lot of Jet fans in the tri-state area that basically said, we've seen enough. We don't necessarily think Aaron Glenn's a particularly good head coach. He and Mujia bought themselves some time here with the way that they've handled this roster, the trading of Sauce Gardner to Indy, Quinnen Williams to Dallas, obviously handling of other situations. He fired Steve Wilkes, the defensive coordinator, about a week and a half ago, so he threw him to the wolves. So there are massive issues for the New York Jets. The one thing Woody has yet to get involved. Outside of criticizing Justin Fields about 6 weeks into the NFL regular season, Woody Johnson and his sons have not gotten involved. That's been the only positive this year for the New York Jets.
How about the Giants? This is the first game in NFL history where both teams are on a 9-game losing streak. The Giants are underdogs against the Raiders. What? I couldn't believe what I was watching last week. They didn't throw the ball till late in the first half.
I know, 144 mark in the second quarter. Jackson Dart attempted his first pass. I mean, I felt like I was watching Vince Lombardi and the Packers. Yes. I mean, run it. They were running the ball well, I get it, but you have a first-year quarterback in Dart who's actually good. Yep. This isn't Jake Fromm at quarterback. This is a guy who can actually throw the ball, and they're like, no. We're just going to run it and hand it off to Tyrone Tracy every down.
Don't even play him then. That was so ridiculous. And, boy, they missed from an offensive standpoint. They missed Dable and how bad it's been. So that's an incredible matchup. NFL record futility coming up with the game out here. Pauly Howard, Marc Malusis, Follow the Money. VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Another Hall of Famer, Sal Pal, up next. He's in Buffalo for the Eagles-Bills game, and we'll get his thoughts on the 3 games tomorrow coming up on Follow the Money. VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM, Channel 158. Keep it locked.